This is the Fox 5 News Block.
Well, developing at this hour, the wife of a former New Jersey senator in court, opening statements for Nadine Menendez bribery case now underway. And fighting sky-high prices, the U.S. now importing eggs from Brazil in the midst of the bird flu crisis. Good afternoon, I'm Bianca Peters. Welcome to the News Block. Those stories in just a moment, but first, here's a live look outside right now. Taking a live look here, which we can't see very much of. That's because we're dealing with that weather. Bringing meteorologist Audrey Puente for a look at the forecast, the dreary forecast.
Very dreary. Yeah, we're looking at a really soggy start to the week here, Bianca. Lots of clouds overhead. Some of them are very low, as we just saw from that sky cam shot. And those clouds are actually keeping temperatures a little cool today. 48 degrees or 46 degrees right now in Central Park. It's 47 out at LaGuardia Airport. Atlantic City faring a little better. You've now moved into the low 50s, but it's really all about the rainfall that is really making for a soggy start to the week here. A lot of it has been over Long Island, Connecticut, and central and southern New Jersey. You're faring better up towards northern and western sections like in the Poconos and up towards Sullivan and Ulster County. But Long Island, it's been slick all morning long, and that will continue right through the afternoon here. Same thing for those of you up towards Connecticut. We can see across the Nassau-Suffolk border here, just over into Suffolk County. We have some steady rainfall here, so that will slow you down and prepare for some slick roadways wherever you go today, because it will cause you some extra time to get to where you need to be. Out across Connecticut, where it's tough on the Merritt Parkway as well as 95 into Fairfield County. In the Hudson Valley, we're getting pockets of where there's some dryness here up to the northwest, so that's where we're seeing the drier weather, like up towards Sullivan and Ulster counties. Into New Jersey, northern New Jersey, still seeing the steady rainfall. Same thing in and around the 5 boroughs. We had a little bit of a break earlier, and down the Jersey Shore, it's been a soaker of a day all the way through to Atlantic City. We can see the dry edge here just coming in from the west. That'll slowly work its way eastward here, so we'll eventually begin to dry out as we go into the dinner time hour. We may actually see some peaks of sun before it sets later on tonight. Temperatures will mostly be in the low 50s to upper 40s, pretty steady from where they are right now, and we're expecting better weather tomorrow. I'll have the details coming up. Bianca?
All right, Audrey, thanks so much. Well, some developing news now. Opening statements are underway today in the bribery trial of Nadine Menendez, the wife of former New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez. Menendez was supposed to go to trial last year with her husband, but she was diagnosed with breast cancer and had surgery, so her case was delayed. She's accused of participating in the bribery scheme in which her husband was convicted. She has pleaded not guilty, but in January, Bob Menendez was sentenced to 11 years in prison after being convicted of accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes from New Jersey businessmen to influence the foreign government of Egypt. During her husband's trial, one of the businessmen testified that he bought Nadine a luxury car. And Mahmoud Khalil, the pro-Palestinian protester detained by ICE, is facing some new accusations from the Department of Justice. Officials are saying the former Columbia student withheld key information when applying for a green card. Fox 5's Haley Fixler has the latest from Morningside Heights.
Officials say Khalil did not mention his involvement in a UN agency for Palestinian refugees or his work at the Syria office for the British Embassy in Lebanon. The DOJ says his presence and his activities here pose some serious foreign policy risks. Justice Department officials say because Khalil failed to include his membership in the group and his continued employment with the Syria office, that alone is grounds for deportment. Originally, Khalil was arrested earlier this month by immigration officers as part of President Trump's crackdown on anti-Semitic and what they call anti-American campus protests. His lawyers continue to fight his deportation. About the new allegations, they say, quote, the government scrambled to add them at the 11th hour. It only highlights how its motivation from the start was to retaliate against Mr. Khalil for his protected speech in support of Palestinian rights and lives. Khalil is next due in court April 8th. These protests caused the university to lose $400 million in federal funding. The encampments and the building takeovers caused chaos on campus. The Trump administration demanded several changes in order to regain the money. Those policy changes include enforcing disciplinary policies like expulsions and suspensions, mask bans, and reviewing the Middle East Studies program. Now, yesterday, the education secretary announced the university is on track to get the funding back. Take a listen.
I have had such great conversations with Dr. Armstrong, Katrina Armstrong, and we have gotten now to that first level. Columbia has agreed to about 9 things we put in place. When she and I met, she said she knew that this was her responsibility to make sure that children on her campus were safe. She wanted to make sure there was no discrimination of any kind. She wanted to address any systemic issues that were identified relative to the anti-Semitism on campus, and they have worked very hard in a very short period of time.
The interim Columbia University president says that these changes are not a reaction to federal pressure. We do know that also a Palestinian solidarity group here at the university is now encouraging students to wear their masks in response to these mask bans. In Morningside Heights, back to you.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court to stop a judge's order to rehire thousands of federal workers. The workers were let go in mass firings across several agencies. In an emergency appeal filed today, the Trump administration argued the ruling should be put on hold because the judge did not have the authority to order some 16,000 probationary employees be hired back. The order came from a San Francisco-based judge who found the firings didn't follow federal law and required immediate reinstatement offers be sent. And a legal counselor to President Trump, Alina Habba, has been named interim U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey. Habba will oversee federal criminal prosecutions and civil matters in New Jersey. She says that she will work to stop corruption and crime in her native state.
There is corruption, there is injustice, and there is a heavy amount of crime right in Cory Booker's backyard and right under Governor Murphy, and that will stop. I look forward to working with Pam Bondi and with the Department of Justice and making sure that we further the president's agenda of putting America first.
Habba will replace John Giordano in the role, who Trump is nominating to be the ambassador to Namibia. And Egypt introducing a new proposal to try and get the Israel-Hamas ceasefire back on track. An Egyptian official says Hamas would release 5 living hostages, including an American Israeli, in return for Israel allowing humanitarian aid into Gaza. That proposal would introduce a weeks-long pause in the fighting, and Israel would also release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. A Hamas official said the group had responded positively to that proposal without elaborating. Well, U.S. and Russian officials are in Saudi Arabia working on a proposed partial ceasefire in Ukraine. The White House still insisting Russian President Vladimir Putin is looking for a deal to stop that fighting. Today's talks are focusing on a naval ceasefire in the Black Sea, but the Ukrainians say Russia does not want to end the fighting.
Without pressure on Russia, Moscow will continue to show contempt for real diplomacy and keep destroying lives.
Over the weekend, American officials met with the Ukrainian negotiating team while EU leaders discuss ways to speed up the possible deployment of a European peacekeeping force in Ukraine. All right, 3:07, and we're going to be right back. Stay with us.
Master anything with the fastest wireless speeds from Spectrum.
All right, now to some developing news. The Elizabeth Street Garden in Little Italy may close as early as today. This comes after months of legal battles. In 2013, the city announced plans to demolish that green space and build affordable housing for seniors. But the nonprofit that owns the space has been fighting the city in court. Earlier this month, the judge denied a request for a preliminary injunction, and now the group has filed an appeal and waiting for a ruling. Meanwhile, Staten Island Borough President Vito Fossella is raising some concerns over the construction of a homeless shelter in Port Richmond. Fossella says the neighborhood has been going through a renaissance as new and old businesses are flourishing. He says the building was initially planned as a hotel, but he's hearing rumors it will be turned into a homeless shelter and wants more transparency from the city.
We don't think a homeless shelter is needed nor wanted here. Would be a blight on this community. And when we see people trying to do things better and make things better, why would we step in the way and make things worse? And we believe that a homeless shelter, if it is suggested or planned for here, would do just that.
We reached out to the city and have not heard back yet. Meanwhile, New Jersey Transit offering riders a 50% discount on round-trip travel from select train stations. That move is an attempt to ease congestion on I-80 because the interstate is closed in both directions in Wharton due to sinkhole repairs. The discount is available to customers traveling from Hackettstown, Mount Olive, Natcong, Lake Hopatong, and Mount Arlington. Riders transferring at Newark Broad Street Station Summit can request a transfer ticket, but they still need to pay for a return fare. And the U.S. is relying on Brazil now for eggs as the bird flu outbreak continues. Imports of Brazilian eggs, once used only for pet food, has actually doubled in the U.S. And officials are considering relaxing regulations for eggs laid by chickens raised for meat. The avian flu has wiped out nearly 170 million chickens, turkeys, and other birds since early 2022, leading to skyrocketing egg prices. The average cost of a dozen large eggs in the U.S. is around $5.90 as of this month. All right, another live look outside as we're dealing with some dreary weather. Let's bring in meteorologist Audrey Puente for a look at the forecast. She does have some good news, though. It's not going to last all week long. That is true. Today will be the worst weather day of the week, Bianca. This cold front will be pushing through later on this evening, and that will allow the drier weather to come in from the west. High pressure will nose its way in here, setting us up for a nice couple of days ahead of us. So at first, we have to get through this rainfall, which will be shifting eastward as we go further on into the evening. We may get some peaks of sun coming through the clouds before it sets tonight, and then we're going mostly clear overnight. That's how we'll start out the day. For tomorrow, we should see plenty of sunshine, but in the afternoon, we'll have some clouds kind of grazing areas to the north here, and there could be an isolated sprinkle. To the south, there'll be a system passing in that direction that could clip portions of the Jersey Shore as well as portions of Long Island during the overnight hours, but most of us will be dry. And on Wednesday, we're in store for another dry day with a sunny start and a few high clouds rolling in towards the afternoon. We could squeeze out an isolated shower, too, north of the city, but that's about it. Today will be the wettest day for sure. We're looking at temperatures steadily where they are right now, mostly in the upper 40s to low 50s. Tonight we'll drop back into the 30s to low 40s as skies begin to clear overnight. So tomorrow we'll see more in the way of sunshine. It'll be a breezy day, but a nice one with a high of 57. We're going to 51 on Wednesday. Generally, we'll have a mix of sun and clouds for the next several days with minimal rain chances. More measurable rain will come in late the day on Friday, and the weekend we could see more rain as well. But for now, it looks like this will be the wettest day of the week. Bianca? All right, Audrey, thanks so much. We'll take you to this story now. An 11-year-old boy from Los Angeles cashing in big time. His one-of-a-kind Paul Skeens baseball card sold at auction for $1.1 million. That card is autographed and contains a patch that was on the pitcher's jersey. The boy discovered the redemption code in a pack of baseball cards that he received as a Christmas gift. A combination of Skeens' burgeoning stardom with the Pirates, his famous girlfriend, LSU gymnast and influencer Livy Dunn, and a head-turning offer the Pirates made for the card fueled all the hype for this piece of history. All right, that's your news block for now. Bianca Peters, thanks so much for joining us. Tune in to the 5 o'clock news on Fox 5 and right here on Fox Local for all of the day's news as it develops. We'll see you back here tomorrow.